Hello students, welcome to the lecture on implementing total quality marketing, and after this lecture we will be able to learn the following objectives. Understand the total quality management, study the different approaches of TQM, analyze the relationship between human resource management and TQM, and study the critical issues of TQM. Let's start with what total quality management is. Total quality management (TQM) has been defined as a management philosophy embracing all activities through which the needs of the customer and the community and the objectives of the organization are satisfied in the most efficient and cost-effective way by maximizing the potential of all employees in a continuing drive for improvement.
Total Quality Management (TQM) is an integrative philosophy of management for continuously improving the quality of products and processes. TQM is based on the premise that the quality of products and processes is the responsibility of everyone involved with the creation or consumption of the products or services offered by an organization, requiring the involvement of management, workforce, suppliers, and customers to meet or exceed customer expectations.
Total quality management has been the fundamental business strategy of the world's leading organization throughout the 1980s. In some developed countries such as Japan, the United Kingdom and the United States of America, a number of organizations have adopted TQM as a way of life for the continuous improvement of the quality of their products and services to their customers. Quality to these organizations is the totality of features and characteristics of a product or service that bear on its ability to satisfy stated or implied needs. Feigenbaum defined TQM5 as an effective system for integrating the quality development, quality maintenance and quality improvement efforts of the various groups in a firm so as to enable marketing, engineering, production and service at the most economical levels which allow for full customer satisfaction. He claimed that effective quality management consists of four main stages described as follows: setting quality standards, appraising conformance to these standards, acting when standards are not met, planning for improvement in these standards. The quality chain, he argued, starts with the identification of all customers' requirements and ends only when the product or service is delivered to the customer who remains satisfied. Thus, all functional activities such as marketing, design, purchasing, manufacturing, inception, shipping, installation and service, etc. are involved in and influence the attainment of quality. Identifying customer requirement is a fundamental initial point for achieving quality. Ishikawa argued that quality management extends beyond the product and encompasses after-sales service, quality of management, quality of individuals and the firm itself. He claimed that the success of a firm is highly dependent on treating quality improvement as a never-ending quest. A commitment to continuous improvement can ensure that people will never stop learning. He advocated employee participation as a key to the successful implementation of TQM. Quality circles, he believed, are an important vehicle to achieve this. Like all other gurus, he emphasized the importance of education, stating that quality begins and ends with it. He has been associated with the development and advocacy of universal education in the 7 QC tools. These tools are listed below: Pareto chart, cause and effect diagram, Ishikawa diagram, stratification chart, scattered diagram, check sheet, histogram, control chart. Ishikawa suggested that the assessment of customer requirements serve as a tool of foster cross-functional cooperation. Selecting suppliers should be on the basis of quality rather than solely on price. Cross-functional teams are effective ways for identifying and solving quality problems. Crosby identified a number of important principles and practices for a successful quality improvement program, which include, for example, management participation, management responsibility for quality, employee recognition, education, reduction of the cost of quality, prevention costs, appraisal costs, and failure costs. Emphasis on prevention rather than after the effect inception, doing things right the first time, and zero defects. Crosby claimed that mistakes are caused by two reasons: lack of knowledge and lack of attention. Education and training can eliminate the first cause, and a personal commitment to excellence, zero defects, and attention to detail will cure the second. Crosby also stressed the importance of management style to successful quality improvement. The key to quality improvement is to change the thinking of top managers to get them not to accept mistakes and defects, as this would in turn reduce work expectation and standards in their jobs. After the approaches to TQM of the 5 quality gurus have been reviewed, it has become evident that each has its own distinctive approach. Nevertheless, the principles and practices of TQM proposed by these quality gurus do provide the author with a better understanding of the concept of TQM. The insight offer a solid foundation for conducting the study. Although the approaches to TQM are not totally the same, they do share some common points which are summarized as follows. It is management's responsibility to provide commitment, leadership, empowerment, encouragement, and the appropriate support to technical and human processes. It is top management's responsibility to determine the environment and framework of operation within the firm. The strategy, policy, and firm-wide evaluation activities are emphasized. Importance of employee education and training is emphasized in changing employees' beliefs, behavior, and attitudes, enhancing employees' abilities in carrying out their duties. Employees should be recognized and rewarded for their quality improvement efforts. It is very important to control the processes and improve quality system and product design. The emphasis is on prevention of product defects, not inception after the event. Quality is a systematic firm-wide activity from suppliers to customers. All functional activities such as marketing, design, engineering, purchasing, manufacturing, inception, shipping, accounting, installation, and service should be involved in quality improvement efforts. TQM is a soft science and as such is likely to have a philosophical tone in its discussion. The conceptual journey on the TQM part is rather straightforward, but the TQM execution is quite difficult. At times, the concept appears so simple that one is unlikely to grasp the need for strategic choices to be made once the TQM conceptual journey is over. Without leadership from the top, it is not possible to choose between two equally appealing options at the juncture point between TQM concept and execution. The following briefly describe choices to make on 15 critical issues at the juncture point along with recommendation for success. Any one quality improvement expert does not have all the answer. Each expert offers one unique idea to advance the soft technology of looking at quality related problems. To solve real life problems, one has to be able to select, sequence, and synthesize the messages from many different experts to come to a useful conclusion. The gurus of the quality improvement sciences are in 3 distinct but overlapping categories. In the statistical category are Gauche, Pareto, Seward, and Fisher. In the management category are Joran, Crosby, and Fiechenbaum. And in the execution category are Deming, Sainin, and Taguchi. In the 1980s, a lot of different improvement concepts have been presented as 3-letter acronyms including SPC, JIT, and QFD. The tendency for many companies is to latch on to these ideas as if they were a panacea for all problems. As soon as a new quality concept or a newly packaged old quality concept has been introduced, it becomes a focus of the company. Management briefings are made, seminars are organized, coordinators are appointed, software programs are generated, off-site meetings are held, paraphernalia is printed, banners are hung, and so on. These activities continue until another quality concept is introduced that seems to have more potential than the previous. Management has been heavily criticized for being relaxed on issues of quality and has been blamed for a failure to integrate quality into business decisions. Management focus is generally directed toward productivity improvement with quality improvement as a byproduct. Management, by and large, has not understood that a focus on quality results in productivity improvement as a byproduct. Even though management has heard criticism from such a prominent person as Dr. Deming, they have basically ignored it as negativism and have not been able to translate the message into the formation of improvement strategies. The focus on quality is attributed to Japanese success in numerous markets. One obvious conclusion that is to copy what they have achieved. The duplication or even outdoing of Japanese result is always a good idea. The path chosen to accomplish quality is the copying of so-called Japanese quality methods throughout the world. The multiplicity of customer design supplier quality improvement models can confuse many suppliers. A strategic quality improvement model has to be consistent with the product or process technology. Therefore, a supplier who is most knowledgeable about the technology is in a better position to design the quality improvement model. Most customers, however, have a supplier quality improvement model of their own. These models consist of a series of procedures which suppliers must comply to. The supplier's valuable resources may end up being spent in continuously rearranging and rewriting their procedure to satisfy each set of distinct requirements for the customer. Automation has a high potential of delivering a quality product. However, there are many forms of automation to consider. Robotics replaces human hands. Programmable controls automate the maintenance of process variable ranges. Statistical process control (SPC) automates the closed-loop signals and the corresponding corrective action based on the output signal measurements. Horizontal thinking creates a perfection of the sub-step. Decisions are made to perfect one of the steps in the quality improvement process. Vertical thinking, on the other hand, requires the completion of a closed loop. Vertical thinking requires that all the steps needed in making improvement happen be thought out and applied to a few selected cases. Successful solutions bring handsome returns on problem-solving efforts. A portion of these returns can then be used to upgrade a similar situation in the facility. It is universally accepted that a massive dose of training is needed to infuse quality-related improvement ideas in all disciplines. How to go about training company employees is often a subject of debate, however. Companies must consider two most popular options in making a choice. The first preference of teaching general ideas and leaving specific application to be developed by individual is stronger in the academic community and understandably so. This is referred to as process teaching, though this preference may be a desirable choice for individuals who naturally progress from school to college to the working environment. It has shown to be ineffective for those already in the working environment. Quality progress is often described in soft terms, intermediate result, instead of hard terms, end result. Once such a practice is considered acceptable, it almost becomes the norm. For example, many companies will describe their progress in terms of how many employees were trained rather than how many problems have been resolved. Other companies will describe how many teams have been formed rather than how many teams have resolved inherent problems and have created breakthroughs. The better choice is to require progress reports in hard terms and not in soft terms. Quality improvement efforts are usually talked about in the manufacturing sense. Business systems that also contribute a fair number of quality-related problems somehow receive scant attention. Measurement indexes have neither been well defined nor any improvement methodologies have extended from manufacturing experiences. Nothing equivalent to rework and scrap is emphasized for problem solving in administrative processes. Mathematical models help us to visualize difficult physical concepts. Mathematical methods conceptualize the most efficient approach to investigate problems. However, to benefit from the mathematical efficiency and execution or operational realities must be understood as well. Traditional HRM practices conflict with TQM and should be changed. Although organizations have initially focused on the production oriented perspective of quality, the recent literature has underlined the importance of HRM for success. In fact, the soft dimension of TQM, customer orientation leadership, culture, or HRM, as they have been described by many authors. Therefore, the human resource function must take the lead in activities such as job design and teams that promote cooperation, empower employees to provide information, participation and autonomy, select employees that can adapt to the organizational culture, foster a program of training and development with quality goals, and define appraisal and compensation policies which support quality targets. A fruitful cooperation between HRM and TQM can produce better organizational results. Alignment of HR quality policies such as creating and communicating the TQM vision, preparing the organization and employees for TQM implementation, and generating quality awareness among the employees across all levels, functions and departments should contribute to an increased company performance. The link between HRM and TQM was identified as being in the area of development and empowerment of people, and the shift from a control-based style of management to an empowering management where attention is focused on coaching and leading. It is generally accepted that a TQM environment fosters employee empowerment. In fact, 5 of Deming's 14 points relate directly to the notion of involvement and empowerment. According to the literature, TQM should promote empowerment of frontline employees, giving them more responsibility and information, and so undermining middle manager traditional role in implementing and monitoring the instruction of top management. Teamwork is central to TQM. There is a consensus in the literature that multidisciplinary teamwork in teams composed of members from different organizational functional areas promotes TQM. Teamwork is necessary because it involves a collaboration between managers and non-managers, between function as well as with customers and suppliers. Within the context of TQM, teamwork is an important outcome and a condition for continuous improvement. It facilitates collaborative efforts to solve quality problems, places overall responsibility for quality with the team while reducing the potential for individual blame, allows greater sharing of information within the work group, and facilitates greater cooperation to improve continuously the functioning of the work group. In line with this argument and in agreement with the result of Bloom, teamwork was perceived as a dominant TQM practice which has a strong association with job satisfaction. It is necessary to consider employees' behavior, attitudes and values for any TQM program to be successful. There is a major drive towards increased staff training. Companies have recently doubled the size of their training program, and this will increase again as TQM is implemented at various stages throughout the organization. There has been a substantial amount of training as follows. Training was provided for the quality team, example quality and facilitating courses. In-house training has been provided by the quality team. More sophisticated recruitment and selection techniques are needed for TQM. Successful recruitment and selection of employees with the proper knowledge, skills, abilities and attitudes compatible with the TQM philosophy can be a driving force supporting continued program effectiveness. This implies, according to Rees and Doran, the identification of competencies derived from a TQM strategy and the use of multi-method selection. Training and development have been recognized as essential to the implementation of TQM. One of Denim's 14 point was that all employees must be trained in quality improvement techniques. Companies committed to TQM invest in training. Samsung and Tertiovsky believe that training is vital to the infusion of quality, ideas and practices, as without it there is no solid foundation for a formal quality program. TQM training is not a single effort but should be conducted on a continuous basis. Effective training pursuits must be planned systematically and objectively. Basically, training has to be oriented to the process methodology. Employee training is fundamental for many TQM programs, such as the adoption of new quality concepts, the setup and practices of customer satisfaction system, the use of statistical quality control, or the change of culture or quality control circle.
Training is the process of teaching employees the basic skills they need to perform their jobs or for developing additional skills. The firm's training programs must make sense in terms of the company's strategic goals. For example, if one of the goals of the company is to expand its international market, then one of the things they may focus on is training their employees in multiple languages. Also, training is part of the larger issue of performance management. This is an integrated, goal-oriented approach to assigning, training, assessing, and rewarding employees' performance. Managers set goals for their employees, and training is one of the ways an organization helps an employee meet those goals. The training process includes these 5 steps. It is important that each step in the process be completed thoroughly because each builds on the other. The more time and effort spent on the previous step, the better the next steps can be. Step 1, Needs Analysis, identifies the training needs of an employee. The 2 main ways of identifying those needs are through a task analysis and a performance analysis. The task analysis is a detailed study of a job to identify the specific skills required, especially for new employees. A task analysis record form can also be used. Here is an example of this form for a printing press operator. The task analyses contain the following information: a task list, when and how often each task is performed, the quantity and quality of performance expected, the working conditions, the skills or knowledge required, and where those can be best learned. The second type of needs analysis is a performance analysis. The goal here is to verify if there is a performance deficiency and to determine whether that deficiency should be corrected through training or through some other means, such as transferring the employee. There are several methods that can be used to identify an employee's training needs, including 360-degree performance reviews, job-related performance data, observations by supervisors or other specialists, and tests of things like job knowledge and skills. When beginning the discussion of what types of training methods to use, there are several tips to keep in mind to make the training more effective. First, the learning needs to be meaningful. Material that is meaningful is usually easier for trainees to understand and remember. For example, it is important at the start of training to provide a bird's-eye view of the material to be presented. It is also valuable to use a variety of familiar examples and to organize the information so it can be presented logically and in meaningful units. Second, it is imperative to design the training to make it easy for the skills being learned to transfer from the training site to the job site. This can be accomplished by maximizing the similarity between the training environment and the work situation, and by providing time for adequate practice. It is also important to provide a heads-up or some preparatory information that lets trainees know what problems or situations may occur on the job. Lastly, it is important to motivate the learner. This is easily done by defining for the learner why the training is important and how it will benefit them. People learn best by doing, so provide as much realistic practice as possible and allow them to learn at their own pace. Trainees also learn best when the trainers immediately reinforce correct responses. With this in mind, take a look at several different methods organizations can use when designing their training. I will not spend time discussing all of them as you can read about them in your text, but understand that each method has advantages and disadvantages. Thus, depending on the situation, each method can be a valuable tool for teaching employees new skills and behaviors. Step 3 is the validation process. By now, the term validity should be a familiar one. We discussed this in great detail during the selection chapter when we talked about how organizations create valid selection measures for hiring new employees. In order to determine a training's validity, the company must test the training on a sample of employees to see if those who receive the training have better performance on the job than those who did not receive the training. This sampling process should be conducted on multiple groups to make sure the training is valid. Implementation, step 4, is the easiest to do if all previous steps have been done well. Now we simply need to train the employees that need to learn this skill or behavior. It is important to schedule the training at a time when the employee is fresh and that the training is broken down into small segments to lower the chance of fatigue. Step 5, evaluating the training, is the most overlooked step. In many instances, organizations will spend a lot of time and resources on the first 4 steps and then completely forget about what is arguably the most important part of the training process. My point is that it makes no sense for organizations to spend hundreds or even tens of thousands of dollars on designing a training program to not have any proof that the training actually has proven results. There are 4 basic ways to measure training effectiveness. The first is the trainee's reaction to or perception of the training. Did they like it? Did they enjoy it? These reactions are very similar to the types of evaluations you complete at the end of every semester on your teachers. The second way is to measure the trainee's learning. This can be done by testing the individual's knowledge of the material covered. Third is to assess the trainee's behavior. Are they using the skills or behavior they learned in the training in the actual work environment? Lastly, organizations should measure the results or outcomes of the training. In other words, did those who participated in the training actually improve their job performance? This is an example of a time series experiment. Before training, the company measures employee performance several times. In a perfect world, this is what all organizations hope to see as a result of training. Ultimately, what organizations want to see is a significant increase in employee performance, which is illustrated on the right side of the graph. In the end, if organizations can't track this and understand how training is affecting performance, then the training is not as effective as it could be. In conclusion, today we have discussed the basics of designing and implementing a training program. It is a complicated and time-consuming process, but in the end, a well-constructed training program is worth the effort, which must include all 5 steps.
Now in the end, let us summarize what we have learned in this lecture. Concept of TQM, different approaches of TQM, critical issue and superior choices in TQM like listening to a single versus many quality experts, method focus versus problems focus, focusing on productivity versus focusing on quality improvement, the relationship between HRM and TQM, importance of staffing, teamwork.